Okay, so we're going to talk about arachnids and crustaceans. So arachnids are kind of creepy and gross. Well, that's just my opinion. And on the other hand, they're really kind of cool. So chelicerates are these arthropods that have these appendages called chelicerae. Chelicerae are like specialized appendages or pinchers that are modified into fangs sometimes or pinchers in other times, and they help them to feed. The two pairs of appendages, um, the pelepads, which are the most to catch their prey and kind of handle them, and the chelicerates have four pairs of appendages called walking legs, and they lack antennae. So arachnids, all arachnids except for mites, are carnivorous. They're carnivores, and most are terrestrial, which means they're active hunters trying to find prey. Most arachnids do not have jaws. Some are able to consume their foods as liquids. So basically, spiders will catch their prey and then they'll spit them into a little cocoon, and then they're highly venomous, so they inject a venom inside of them that liquefies all their internal organs, and then they can slurp them up like a shake in a straw. Ugh. Okay, just a little bit of a gross thing to think about. But most of the times, arachnids will first inject their prey with some powerful enzymes that will start breaking down those tissues. Those enzymes are digestive enzymes. And then, they can just put pretty much like this long tongue-like thing in and suck everything out through that. Now, some spiders and scorpions are extremely venomous. One of the most dangerous ones walking around, I know you're not going to believe me, a daddy long legs. The problem is the daddy longlegs' mouth is so small that it can't actually bite you. Thank goodness, because it would kill you. So let's start talking about spiders. The chelicerae in spiders are often modified into fangs. Some of them are extremely poisonous, while others are not. The poison glands are located in the very front of the body here, and they'll secrete toxins from those. They can actually milk spiders and get some of those toxins from there so they can create what we call an antivenom. These toxins can do everything from paralyze to digest the insides of the organism that they're invading. And then we have scorpions. Scorpions are really kind of cool, and you can see that this is under a black light. Under a black light, scorpions will always show up. They're iridescent. It's kind of cool. They'll illuminate under a black light. And so this is a scorpion under a black light. They have long abdominal segments, as we can see all the little segments here. And then they actually have their venom located within their stinger of their tail. These guys will have a pelepops, which are these large grasping pinchers in the front here. These pinchers, which are used for defense, but will seize food, and they're used during sexual reproduction. And then we have mites and ticks. These guys, I'm not going to lie, creep me out. Mites and ticks are by far the largest group of arachnids, by the way. Their head and thorax, which is this part right here, their head, thorax, and abdominals are all fused, so they're unsegmented like other ones, which is actually beneficial to them because once they attach, it's very hard to remove the entire tick or mite. Mites such as chiggers, which live in grass, and ticks can be extremely harmful to humans. We can pass things like Lyme disease, which is the most common one passed by ticks. Basically, what happens is when the tick feeds here, it gets a stomach full of yummy blood from the host. If you go and grab the stomach and try to pinch it, it has a natural reflex. It's called regurgitation. It'll actually throw up everything in its stomach contents inside of the host, which is how we get some of our parasites from them. Yummy. The next one is a horseshoe crab. Despite the name, it's not really a crab at all. It just kind of looks like a crab, so its name kind of goes with that. They have chelicerae and pelepods like spiders. They're on the bottom side, which I do not have a picture of here. They have an extremely hard exoskeleton that covers most of their body. They have this beautiful little stinger coming off of here. These guys make up a group of invertebrates that probably appeared on Earth about 40 or 400 million years ago. So they're extremely old. They haven't had to change a whole lot. Horseshoe crabs will live on the bottom of oceans. And so you can see them in the sand, and they'll sometimes bury themselves in there to hide. The other group is called a crustacean. Many crustaceans have a cephalothorax and an abdominal. So that means the head and like mid-body cavity are fused together. Like chelicerates, crustaceans have appendages on their abdomen. Unlike chelicerates, though, crustaceans have mandibles that are adapted for feeding and have 2 pairs of antennae, so they have sensory organs on the top of their head, and they breathe through gills because most of them are aquatic. We do have some terrestrial crustaceans. Oh my gosh, what does that look like? Oh, doesn't that look like a segmented thing that I have in my classroom? I'll let your imaginations go from there. So isopods are one of the largest terrestrial crustaceans. And so sand fleas, land crabs, these are all examples of that. Their life cycle is tied to the ocean, and their larvae will live until they'll live within the water until they're mature. This is a beautiful water flea. So aquatic crustaceans are a little bit different. Some are very small, like our fairy shrimp, and this is a water flea. And tiny copiopods. Copiopods are one of the most abundant of all multicellular organisms on Earth. And copiopods are really important because they are the basis to the marine food chain. If our copiopods would happen to, or these small like water fleas and fairy shrimp, if they would all disappear, we would actually see our marine life system break apart because they're the basis to that food chain. Krill is one of the most common copiopods that we find within our marine life. Extremely important. They'll have a larvae state, and they're almost translucent within that state. And we can see some of them stay extremely, extremely small. And they're just filter feeders a lot of times. They're just getting stuff from the material that passes by them. Then we have our Ciccio crustaceans. These are barnacles. So an adult barnacle will actually permanently attach itself to something, a boat, a dock, a big piece of whatever floating in the ocean. When they have babies, their little babies are free swimming larvae without a care until they find something, and then they attach themselves to it. Hope it's the right object and they don't get brushed off. The head of the barnacle attaches to this hard surface, and then they have antennas that will secrete a strong adhesive material that will create its shell, and its shell will harden, and they're extremely difficult to get off. It's not like you can just pull them off. It takes a long, long time to get off of these places. Then we have decapods. Deca means 10. These are large crustaceans such as shrimp, crayfish, crabs, lobsters. They have 5 pairs of legs and are often referred to as the decapods. 1/4 of the crustaceans are all decapods. So they're able to propel themselves forcibly by flexing their abdominal and then releasing it out. They're extremely strong abdominal cavities. They'll have these great peptipods here, so they can actually pinch and grab things, and they use protective mechanisms to defend themselves against things. And until next time, when we do insects.